From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast with Scott Sander.
Welcome to the Business, Equity, and Opportunities Podcast. I'm Scott Sander. On this episode,
does your business plan include podcasts? Matthew Murphy III sizes up the pandemic's lasting effects on the business climate. And in our success story, we'll meet an entrepreneur who started very, very young.
Grow your business with Wish TV's featured business directory. For less than $200 a month, be one of the limited businesses in 30 different categories, benefiting from one of the top visited websites in Indiana and Indiana's only statewide news station. Space is limited. Contact us today.
Every business is unique and has a target audience. If you own or manage a business, Circulus Digital Media can help you connect and grow your customer base with turnkey digital solutions that are nimble, offering best-in-class results, service, and support to reach a bigger customer base, allowing you to pinpoint a specific audience down to the smallest details. Get outside the city, the state, span the globe. Put Circulus Digital Media to work for you. Get started now at circulusdigital.com. That's circulusdigital.com.
First, we get started with a simple question. Does your business plan include podcasts?
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Getting started.
Chris Spangle is a 15-year veteran of podcasting. In addition to doing his own hosting, he consults for local podcasts, including The Bob and Tom Show and Leaders and Legends, part of the All Indiana Podcast Network. Chris offers his insights into how small business owners are embracing the idea of using podcasts to help get their businesses out there.
I've been a podcaster since 2007. I worked at a local radio station, 1430 AM, that didn't have a powerful signal and did a lot of news talk. And we were able to extend the signal of the radio station online with Abdul in the morning, and that's where I got my podcasting start. And then I left there to go work for the Libertarian Party of Indiana, and I've worked at Bob and Tom since 2013 as their digital director and working to take the radio show and put it online in many different forms. And we have a podcast there that gets 1 million downloads a month and is one of the top podcasts in the world. And I'm also on the Pat Down, which is a top comedy podcast with Miss Pat and Dion Curry. I also do podcast consulting. I've taken all this knowledge and now I work with people to help develop podcasts for their own businesses, for their hobby. I think people would be surprised at how much work goes into a podcast. There are 4 million podcasts, almost 5 million podcasts, and roughly 30 to 40% of those are active. And most podcasters never get past 7 episodes. And that's because it takes a lot of time to prep. And so working in radio, I see the amount of preparation that Tom Griswold puts into the Bob and Tom Show, and it's hours to go into that 4-hour show. Doing my own podcasts, it's reading a lot to put it into, thoughts about current events. I think people think that if I just sit down with my friends and do a podcast and chit chat, then I'll just take off like Joe Rogan. But you do have to have some strategy behind it. If you want to build an audience, the more work you put into pre and post-production, the better the on-air quality will be, and the more audience you'll build over time. So I think that's the thing that people would find out is the most surprising part. It's not just people chattering away. Some are, but the best podcasts don't do that. So in terms of marketing, especially online, you've always had images like photography or memes. You've had written word in blogging and various copywriting. You've had video come on over the last 10 years with the rise of YouTube and people hiring firms to feature their show. But audio has been left out of that mix. And major platforms are starting to pay attention to audio now that they can monetize it. Monetization on a mass scale like YouTube ads have done for video has come into the podcasting space over the last 3 years. And so that means that more major tech companies are moving into the space and creating new technology, which affords networks like mine the ability to monetize. It affords small business owners the ability to create content in unique ways and then put that out and distribute it on different platforms. And it's a cheap form of content marketing. It's cheaper to hire someone to help edit your podcast, produce your podcast, than it is to create those large videos that are 2 minutes that live on your YouTube that maybe 200 people will watch. What podcasting offers a small business owner is the ability to connect with their clients, their users, or however you may term the people that you interact with in your business, your customers, in a very intimate and personal way that video and writing and imagery may not. It breaks down that barrier so people are able to listen to a conversation that you might have with another person and get a sense of who you are before they come through the doors or send you that first email. And in a world where people are a little bit more shy than maybe they used to be, they're a little more introverted, it allows them to put a human face on the contact before they actually reach out. You're also able to use it for lead generation. If I were to send a message to the leader in my industry and say, can I get lunch? Can I sit down and take an hour of your time across from you on your desk and chat? They might say no, right? That's a big lift for somebody who is at the top of their business vertical. But thanks to the use of everybody's own vanity, you can ask for an hour-long conversation on a podcast. It helps them maximize their time by promoting their projects, their businesses, while also giving you a face-to-face. And I've had clients that have been able to leverage these podcast conversations into business because of that one-on-one conversation. We brought Leaders and Legends with Robert Vane to the All Indiana Podcast Network a few years ago, and we've seen about a 30% increase in Robert's downloads while being a part of the network. It's also offered him opportunities to come on television to promote episodes. There's not a lot of podcast networks that can offer live TV spots on daytime television. And it really helps network together a lot of different shows. And so you also have the benefit when you're reaching out to potential guests to say, we're part of a local television station's network. Robert has been able to use his presence on your social media, in your email newsletters, on TV, to persuade guests that he might not have gotten otherwise. I think the future for podcasting is huge. Right now, about 40 to 50% of people listen to podcasting. One major CEO of a podcasting company just said that is going to be 90% within the next 10 to 20 years. If you're interested in starting a podcast, I run a group called IndianaPodcasters.com. We have a meetup every couple months where you can come and meet a bunch of other podcasters. It's a very safe place to come and ask questions. 25% of the people that show up to that are usually looking to start a podcast. You can always reach out to me. I'm always happy to answer questions at podcastingandplatforms.com. And I know the All Indiana Podcast Network has a great team that would love to help people, but there's 2 rules to podcasting that are ironclad. The first is you must be relevant to your audience. You must not waste their time. The second is you have to be consistent. So you have to pick a topic and a time frame, a time schedule that you can be consistent with that content, that you can manage that. If you can do 2 episodes a month, 1 episode a month, 1 a week, then you figure that out. There's a lot of great places to get information, like IndianaPodcasters.com, where you can come and meet other podcasters, or the All Indiana Podcast Network, or my own podcast, Podcasting and Platforms.
Getting started, made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation.
Welcome again to Business Equity and Opportunities. The country's current surge in illnesses, including COVID and the flu, is adding another issue to an already crowded list of things you will deal with when you're running your business day to day.
This is Business Equity and Opportunities, running your business day to day.
Matthew Murphy III returns to give us his insights into how coping with COVID gave many businesses better insights about their day-to-day operations.
The pandemic really brought a lot of disruption to what we had come to understand as the norms of business. And then I would also suggest that the way forward when there's that kind of disruption is really fine-tuning the disciplines to react, and then in most cases also to be proactive. So for example, companies need to really focus on their internal financial team, and to the extent that they have to go outside for external team assistance, like consultants like myself, to have a path forward with that, so that the business is able to get what it needs when it needs it, and in the form and fashion that it needs it. So a lot of that is data-driven, it's financial analysis-driven, and so I think it's incumbent upon businesses today, more than any time in the past, to actually be very, very focused, laser focused on what they do and who they do it with and for. All business is not good business. Sometimes owners and entrepreneurs have to learn to say no, because some business actually can take you under when the profitability of the product or service that you're providing isn't there, and when there's not enough labor to take on the big job. You have to be disciplined enough to say no. But I think those were challenges even before the pandemic. I think they just became exacerbated during the pandemic, and it remains true even today. So here in 2022 and beyond, I think businesses are having to be sharper, and they have to know more. They have to plan better and more frequently if they're going to continue to grow and sustain profitability. But I think there's a lot of companies that have figured out, how to bounce back, and again, with the right product, right service, right team, right amount of financing and capital behind you, and the discipline to run the business the right way every day. I think these are challenging times, but they can be very lucrative times for different businesses, depending upon what business they're in. But there's another part to it that I think can be smart as well. It's the opportunity to collaborate with other businesses. When you can explore potentially joining forces, maybe not specifically with a competitor as much as someone also in the industry that you're in, and join forces to take advantage of market opportunities. So one of the tools that I always advise business owners to look at is who in the market or outside of this market can be a good partner potentially. And that could be a joint venture situation. It could be a teaming agreement by which the two companies go together on an opportunity, and they paper it up in a way that is a win-win for both. So the collaborative process of businesses joining forces to take advantage of market opportunities is one thing that I don't see done as frequently as I think it could, because large companies still need small companies as vendors and subcontractors. A lot of standalone companies, small companies that want to become one of those vendors, sometimes the timeline to get there is long, so maybe the collaboration with others might be the way to accomplish that.
This is the inaugural edition of Entrepreneurship Indiana 2022. It's essentially a celebration of 100 success stories, highlighting the best and brightest our state has to offer.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Success Story.
Secretary of Commerce Brad Chambers not only leads the charge for economic development in Indiana, he's also an example of how entrepreneurship can lead to success.
My path has been humble, and it's a path of hard work and persistence, and step forward and 2 steps back, and then a couple steps forward again. So Indiana's a great place for entrepreneurs, and I'm a beneficiary of that great place. My path started in high school. I was young, 15, 16-year-old, cutting grass. I mean, how many of you in the audience cut grass or plowed snow as a living? But it, as humble as that is, it's such a great teacher of hard work, responsibility, of accountability, of the power of earning, of controlling your own destiny. And so that's really how I started. And that business that I started as a high schooler turned into a fairly sizable landscape business. And then in my sophomore year at Indiana University, I think education in whatever form is important, but in my sophomore year at Indiana University, I actually was able to sell that landscaping company, and I took the proceeds and invested in a real estate transaction in Indianapolis. And so from that humble beginning in high school to that first transaction in college, 38 years later, our business has grown and is a national real estate investment platform. So it was humble, but it's hard work, and the lessons along the way have been fantastic. To those who are given much is expected, and Indiana's got a great business climate. It's got a great entrepreneurial ecosystem. We want to make it better, and we want to continue to lift up entrepreneurs and innovators and risk takers, because I think it's fundamental to a vibrant economy to have people believe that they can start a business, run a business, grow a business, and thrive as an entrepreneur in our community. I like to use the example of Eli Lilly. When I'm in a crowd and I'm telling people about entrepreneurship, I ask them, I said, who's the most famous entrepreneur in our state? And I'll go on to say it was a gentleman who started his business 145 years ago by starting a drugstore down on the south side of Indianapolis. And then 145 years later, it's the 25th largest company on the planet. So entrepreneurial endeavors are endless opportunity, provide endless opportunity. Entrepreneurship provides endless ceiling for those who want to work hard and take a little risk. Whether it's businesses small or large, Indiana's culture at a government level, and I think throughout our business community, and even our nonprofits and our academic institutions, we care about people's success, period. I don't care if you're a one-person small business or a 100-person small business or a 10,000-person large business. We care about business success because it's self-perpetuating. The better you do, the better our state does. And so it starts with a great business climate in Indiana, but we also are humble Hoosiers, and we care about people generally and genuinely. So we have a good business climate. We have a good climate to be an entrepreneur and to build and grow a business, but it can always be better. I aspire for more. I aspire for better for our entrepreneurs and our innovators. I would like more people to start businesses and more people to be successful when they do start them. And so it's a real focus for me as Secretary of Commerce and at the IEDC as we try to build our economy, grow our economy into the next decade or two, to build an economy of the future. I think it's fundamental and super important to have a very vibrant and strong entrepreneurial ecosystem. I aspire that our entrepreneurial ecosystem is top 5 in the country. We've been ranked top 40 in the world, but I don't know that any of us get out of that bed in the morning and want to be top 40. We want to be the top. And so I aspire to build on this already good business climate in Indiana and make it great for entrepreneurs. Technology is expanding at incredible rates. And then you look to our universities, whether it's Purdue or University of Notre Dame or Indiana University or Rose-Hulman or Ball State. We've got these bright minds. And then you look around at high schools and some of the incubation of entrepreneurs in our high schools. It is super exciting. And I think the potential for Indiana in Indiana entrepreneurship and Indiana innovation is literally limitless. And so, but we've got to provide them support. We've got to provide them resources. We have to have folks that have had a great entrepreneurial journey like I have to support them as mentors. And with that, I'm just super excited about where we are as a state, where we are kind of nationally from an entrepreneurial perspective, and I think it's limitless, but we have to continue to lean in.
Adipose Therapeutics is a rising local success in the growing bioscience industry. Karen Worster is the CEO. She explains why companies like hers are making their home here in Indiana.
I work here at IBRI, which is the Indiana Biosciences Research Institute, in a lab where we are actually formulating a new treatment, new potential treatment for type 2 diabetes and obesity. I have worked in science and in diabetes the majority of my career. Everything from developing products to launching products to commercializing, all within the diabetes space. And about 2.5 years ago, I was introduced to a professor, Dr. Meng Deng at Purdue University, who had this brand new technology and a brand new approach to treating type 2 diabetes and obesity. Given my experience in that area, I was so excited about what he was doing that I really wanted to be part of it and really wanted to help lead it to success, to lead that product from the bench out to the marketplace. The lab here at IBRI provides a number of things for us. First is the ability to interact and be part of a community of scientific innovation. And that's important not just to me, but to people we hire and people we work with to be part of that larger community. And specifically here on the 3rd floor of the IBRI, it's diabetes focused. And so the people on the floor here think, and in the labs here, think every day about diabetes and how can we make life better for people with diabetes. And so it's really exciting to be part of that larger community. And then there's also a very practical aspect to it, which is as a small company that's working in drug product development and formulation, there's a lot of equipment that we need. We need freezers, we need incubators, we need cell culture areas, we need centrifuges, and all of those things have to be monitored and quality control. And it can be cost prohibitive for a small company. Whereas here, we can come here, we rent our small lab space, and then we have access to all that equipment around us. So both from a intellectual curiosity and being in that right environment and having the practical support we need to be successful in our scientific endeavors, we've really found that IBRI supports both those pieces. In addition to what the IBRI does, the state of Indiana has provided great support to me and to Adipo Therapeutics. It really does that in several ways. One is in creating an environment that is really helpful to starting a new company, whether that be through some of the tax benefits, the tax credits, through the recruiting. We have great universities here nearby that we can recruit from, and the larger investment community. Elevate Ventures, IU Ventures, Purdue Ventures have all played an important part in the work that we're doing and the success that we've seen to date. What excites me, I think, for the company, for us at Adipo, is to be part of bringing an entirely new way of thinking about obesity and thinking about diabetes and that dual epidemic and the way we treat it. Treatments to date have worked on two things. One is increasing the insulin in a body and decreasing the calories that people eat. Our product will work on the opposite side of that. It will actually improve insulin resistance and it increases energy expenditure. So from a product perspective and a company perspective, it's really exciting for me to see something like that and be able to move it forward. From a community standpoint, I grew up in Indiana. I'm an Indianapolis girl. I went to IU twice. My son graduated from the IU Med School, and so to be part of seeing this growing entrepreneurial community, and specifically the growing the life science area, has been really satisfying to me. I meet with other CEOs who are in similar positions as myself. I have been part of the Access Mentoring Program. I'm now paying that back by being a mentor within the Access program, and so it really excites me to see the growth in life science, to see the growth in female leadership within the life sciences, and to help propel that forward.
Our thanks again to all the contributors who joined us for this episode of the Business Equity and Opportunities podcast. We hope you found it enlightening, useful, and inspiring. You'll find more information about the show on our website, beoshow.com. You can watch Business Equity and Opportunities Sunday mornings at 10 on Wish TV or live stream it through wishtv.com. Each week we provide 7 full segments with topics ranging from how to get started and how to access capital to the day-to-day running of your business and questions about accounting and bookkeeping. We feature business news and trends and always share a success story from one of our contributors. Join us next time for more insights into the world of small business. Be sure to sign up for our Business Equity and Opportunities newsletter to get even more valuable, up-to-date information. And if you have any questions or you'd like to be part of our show, please email us. The address is beo@wishtv.com. We'd love to hear from you. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for listening.
Watch the Business Equity and Opportunity Show on Wish TV and access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at beoshow.com. You can find more podcasts from Wish TV on the All Indiana Podcast Network at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.